Hi there, I'm Kathy Caswell, and this video will offer a guided exercise to help you in empowering resilience. And it's about using logosynthesis for healthy living. And I was introduced to logosynthesis 10 years ago during a very busy time in my life. And I always considered myself a very resilient person. I didn't need any help, but what I wasn't overly comfortable with was the reactive patterns when I did get busy. And it was something that I wanted to change for quite a while, but I wasn't able to. And it wasn't until I was introduced to logosynthesis that I had a very structured and precise model and a very intriguing model to help me shift the energy in some of the beliefs that drove my behavior. So it wasn't so much about changing my beliefs. I still have a lot of the same beliefs, but they don't trigger me with the same intensity. And as a result, I don't feel that I'm as reactive. I feel calmer and I am better able to respond instead of react. And not only are my stress responses calmer, which is helpful for my health, but also how I react helps other people around me not get triggered by my responses. So anyway, this video is a guided exercise. You can watch it over and over again when something in work or in life is bothering you, and it will help to shift the energy in those frozen stuck patterns. And so when we talk about empowering resilience and we're talking about being more flexible and adaptable, it's about having our energy available to choose responses rather than being stuck in those rigid pattern behaviors that just happen automatically. And oftentimes we think of it as, kind of as how our brain's programmed. But there's new research around the role of mental imagery, especially intrusive mental imagery, in triggering our stress responses, controlling our emotions. And this work is on an energy level to shift those patterns. And what's really interesting about it is that it shifts so fast when we shift that mental imagery that we feel different. And sometimes we're left a little curious, like what just happened there? But when we understand the impact, which the research is calling, is that we need new approaches to resolve mental imagery. When we recognize that that's what's happening, it's much easier to understand it. So, starting now, I'm going to take you through a guided exercise. I'm going to ask you to pause it if you need to find a quiet spot, if you need to grab a glass of water. We always recommend having a glass of water with us, and allow about 30 minutes so that you're not interrupted. It might go faster, but you want to have at least 30 minutes set aside in case anything feels intense as you're shifting this energy. Okay, so when you're done, you can come back and click pause, and I will guide you to start. So this video is to support you in empowering resilience to get rid of your stressors in the form of mental imagery. So I want you to think of a situation at work or in life that bothers you, something that is stressing you out, and you know it's stressing you out by your body responses. You can feel it in your jaw, in your gut, in your chest area. And just allow yourself a minute to identify this issue that you want to resolve. Don't make it too big, but maybe it's a specific person that's bothering you. Maybe it is a specific situation. Maybe your work is really demanding. So just allow yourself to connect with that for a moment and allow yourself to let the thoughts arise. Like, what's that self talk that keeps coming up for you? around the situation. And just allow that self talk to flow. Don't control it. No one's listening to you, so you don't have to hold your words back. And I have been known to curse when I've been doing this from time to time because there's a lot of energy stored there. And notice the emotions. What are the emotions that are arising? If you want to jot it down, you don't have to, but if you want to jot it down, you can. Um, is it anger? Is it frustration? Is there some fear? Is there sadness? Just let it arise. And you can press pause here if you want a little bit more time to connect with the thoughts and emotions. But then next, I'm going to ask you to connect with where do you feel this in your body? So oftentimes we say, I'm really angry right now, but how do you know you're angry? Where do you feel it? Is it in your jaw, in your chest, in your hands, and your a lot of times we feel our emotions in the core of our body. It might be a pit in our stomach. And again, if you want a bit more time just to explore what's going on, the thoughts, the emotions, and the physical sensations, just press pause. But if it's distressing at this point, then you can continue on if you feel that distress. And I'm going to ask you to rate the level of distress on a scale of 0 to 10, with 0 being no distress and 10 being maximum distress. And we don't go over 10. And for the purpose of this exercise, you don't want to go to the 10, like this is a exercise that you're doing on your own. So even something in the 6 to 7 range. And when you have the number, just jot it down and you can press pause again but I'm going next to ask you to notice the space around you. And this is where the mental imagery comes in. Notice what you see, what you hear. Maybe it's a smell or taste or a touch. Just notice the space around you for any images. Is there anything in front of you or behind you, to the left or the right, above or below? It could be the sound of someone's voice. It could be an image of something. And I will say it may not make sense. This is energetic work. What arises, we don't question, we don't judge. We just allow it to be there. So just notice the space and allow yourself to go into that space. And if you need a bit more time to get in touch with it, again, you can press pause. If there's something that's clear that's there, don't judge it. We are now going to move in to the next phase. And I am going to offer 3 sentences with a pause in between each. And I'm going to ask you to repeat aloud after me as I say each of the 3 sentences. Okay. And so allow yourself to connect with that perception, what you perceive around you. And repeat aloud after me. The first sentence, I retrieve, I retrieve all of my energy bound in this perception and everything it represents, and I take it to the right place in myself. Just let the words work, let the energy shift, don't analyze. Just allow yourself to breathe. It might feel intense. You might not feel anything. Just let the energy shift. If you want a little more time, if you feel a lot of energy moving, yawning or shifting, sometimes we feel it leave through our legs or hands. You can just press pause until it calms down and then move on to the next sentence with me. So, sentence two, I remove all non me energy bound in this perception and everything it represents from all of my cells, from all of my body, and from my personal space. And I send it to where it truly belongs. And again, just let the energy shift. No need to analyze. It's all energy. Just let the energy shift. No judging. Just let the words work. Words are energetic and they have power to shift energy. Let the words work. Just let the energy shift. And if you feel that there's still a lot of energy flowing, just press pause until things settle. And then we move to the third sentence. Okay, so if you're ready to move to the third sentence, you can repeat aloud after me. I retrieve all of my energy bound up in all of my reactions to this perception and everything it represents. And I take it to the right place in myself. Again, just let the words work. Let the energy shift. And trust the process. It can feel intense as the energy is shifting. Trust the process. Let things settle. And one of the things that the research in mental imagery is showing is that the more vivid the mental image, the more intense the emotional reaction, the more intense the feelings with it. So some people have very vivid imagery and that can feel very intense, but as the energy shifts, things settle. And sometimes, if it's been a traumatic memory that surfaces, it can take a long time to let this energy shift. It could be 10 minutes for each sentence. So if you need some more time, you can press pause and just let it work. But also, I will highlight that sometimes a new image arises, and we work with that, and we'll just play the video again to work with that image. But if things have settled, you can just you can just follow along. I'd ask you to take a drink of your water now, and that helps to stabilize your system. And I'll ask you to notice what happens. So, what happens to the thoughts, emotions, physical sensations? How's that showing up for you? What happens to that mental imagery, that perception? Is it still there? Is it something different? And now I'm going to ask you to write down what the level of distress is that you're feeling on a scale of 0 to 10, with 0 no distress and 10 maximum distress. And just notice. And so if that number is 0, 1, 2, like a low number, then that's great. You've done a layer of work. We always work in layers. It's one mental imagery, one issue that's bothering you, but there can be deeper layers to it. There can be different issues. And so this work becomes a healthy lifestyle routine, right? It's something that we do over and over again to shift the energy that is frozen in our system in the form of distressing mental imagery. So, yeah, we've got one layer done. And if the number is higher than a 3 or 4, you might want to go through and explore that a bit further. And you can just run this video again, or you can go to the Healthy Living Plan YouTube channel and watch How to Not Let Things Bother Me. And that's the same guided process as well. So that you can work at the next layer. And there you have it. We have shifted energy to allow ourselves to be less rigid, right? We've taken a frozen, rigid pattern and shifted the energy so we're more adaptable. We're more, our energy is more in flow, and we are more resilient. And I'll ask you to notice what shifts now and what's different in the numbers, but also I'll ask you to notice in the next little while what shifts with this issue. Does it go away altogether? Is there something a little bit different? Again, it's energy we're working with. So some of the shifts can be subtle, um, but they can be different. And so we just keep, noticing what bothers us and resolving it. And over time, I can certainly attest to for myself and for other people how freeing it is, how much more my energy is available for what's meaningful to me. So it's not that work necessarily goes away, or that you have to quit your job, or that you have to, um, get a new job, but you can be more focused, more calm where you are in the moment. So I like to say calm in chaos, and that's where our growth is, right? We don't grow when their situation is stagnant, but if it's too much change, then our bodies definitely react and respond, and we're not as resilient then. So if you're my age and working in a corporate job, I would suggest this work can certainly help you, because we have a whole career of developing patterns about the way that things should be. And in the midst of a lot of change, it can be hard to change your system. And if we're young, I think it is really important to notice our patterns, that they don't become too rigid, because it does get in the way of our goals, the tone of our voice, you know um, so many aspects of just being present so that we can do our best work possible and make a difference in this world. So thank you for joining me for this video. Feel free to check out the website, thehealthylivingplan.com, for more information on the topic, for more resources to help you get started. And feel free to reach out to me at any point. Thank you.